Let's bring in the founder and CEO of QuantumScape, Jagdeep Singh. He joins us from the company's headquarters and labs there in San Jose, California. Jagdeep, thank you for joining us this morning. I'm curious from your perspective. You are a company developing solid-state batteries that will be used for electric vehicles. Very promising, but far from profitable. Why go public through a SPAC IPO right now?
Yeah, good morning, Phil. Again, there are two answers to that question. First is we've addressed most of the science risks that were ahead of us when we started the company, and now they're mostly behind us, so we feel like we're ready to actually go public now. And secondly, one of the big remaining risks for us really was getting the balance sheet to be able to build out factories. So building batteries is not like writing software. You need to build factories. It takes capital. Basically with this transaction, we end up with $1 billion balance sheet, which really allows us to fund all the way into startup production. So those are the two big reasons why now is the right time for us.
You'll be raising $700 million proceeds from this SPAC IPO. That obviously will be helping the balance sheet that you referenced there. Volkswagen is targeting using your batteries, your solid state, your lithium metal solid state batteries by 2025. That's a long ways out. That's a bit of a leap of faith for investors that you're going to have those batteries ready by then and that this will work, that Volkswagen will see the demand for electric vehicles. What do you say to the skeptics who look at this and say, well, that's a big bet for 3 years, 5 years down the road?
Yeah, I think ordinarily if a company is a few years away from revenue, that implies that there's risk involved, either technical risk or market risk. I think in this case what's interesting is VW has already announced that they have tested these batteries in their labs in Germany at automotive rates of power. And that latter point is pretty key because a lot of solid-state batteries that have been worked on don't work at high rates of power, which is required for automotive. But more importantly than that, the reason why the revenue is a few years out really has to do with the automotive qualification process and not as much the fundamental technology readiness. So, it just takes time to go through the process of getting technology into cars, as it should. Human beings are sitting in cars, and you don't want the technology, like batteries, for example, to not be fully vetted. But relative to market risk, given the science risk is largely behind us, and given VW's commitment to this technology, we feel pretty good that this is going to be real.
Jagdeep, how much greater will the range be with the lithium metal solid state batteries? I mean, take a standard, and I know there's nothing standard with a lithium ion EV battery today. How much greater will the range be with your batteries?
Yeah, so depending on what you compare it to, it's between 50 and 100% greater range for the same exact size of pack, which is pretty substantial. But even more important in the range, or as important as the range, is the fact that you'll be able to fast charge these batteries. So with our batteries, you'll be able to do a 15-minute fast charge. And that combination has never been done before. So the idea of a long-range battery that can be charged more rapidly really helps close the gap between electric cars and combustion engine-based vehicles. And that's what's exciting about what we're doing.
Hey, Jagdeep, it's Brian Sullivan. I want to jump in more on the SPAC side. Very cool technology. Thanks for coming on CNBC. We've been talking so much about these SPACs as well. What was the ultimate selling point for you and your team versus any other exit or strategy or whatever? What was the one thing that someone sold you on about the SPAC that made it so appealing? Because we didn't talk about SPACs for years, and suddenly, Jagdeep, we're talking about them every week now. What's happened?
Yeah, I think in general, these SPACs, I think, present a little more of a streamlined way for companies to access public markets. But I think in our case, what got us interested was this specific SPAC. So Kensington is a SPAC founded not by hedge fund guys or financial investors, but by automotive guys, right? These are guys that have, if you look at who's involved, these are guys that have built and run great automotive businesses over many decades. And that really was the key because we felt that we understood the technology really well. We had the customer engagement with Volkswagen that's already been announced. And what these guys represented was an understanding of the automotive space, automotive requirements, which really complemented our team. So we felt like it wasn't just that we were going public, but we were doing it with a partner that could really complement the team.